Good morning. My name is Mark Ingram. I'm the Director of Athletics here at UAB. We'd like to welcome everyone who has joined us through Facebook from around the world. This certainly is a unique way to conduct a press conference, but these are unique times, so we appreciate everyone's participation and their understanding. The reaction from our fans over the last few days have been exactly what we expected when we approached Coach Kennedy about being our next head coach. The number of positive comments from our fans through social media, email, and text messages have been overwhelming, and I'd like to thank everyone for those. It was clear from our first conversation with Coach Kennedy that he was the obvious choice to be our next head coach. He owns a number of UAB's career scoring records as a player, and as a coach, his record is even more impressive. Things that stuck out to me when I asked him about why UAB and why now were things like, this is personal to me. He said, it'll be my personal mission to put UAB basketball back to where it once was. He said, I want to win a championship, not just this year, but every year. He said, I want UAB basketball to be a top 20 program. And that's the kind of tenacity that we were looking for in our next head coach. Dr. Watts and I have discussed many times and agree that UAB athletics can be a great program in every sport that we have, and it's clear that Coach Kennedy feels the same way. I'd like to thank Dr. Watts, Chancellor St. John, and the entire Board of Trustees for their support throughout this process. Given the magnitude of how the events surrounding the coronavirus have impacted all of us and the volume of work they have done collectively to protect the campus communities at our three-campus system and beyond, it took a lot of swift and decisive action to get us here today, and I'm grateful for that. Now, Blazer fans, if you would, I'd like to introduce you to the next head basketball coach of the UAB Blazers, Coach Andy Kennedy.
Good morning. I'd like to start by thanking Dr. Watts, Mark Ingram, my athletic director, and the UA System Board of Trustees. I am humbled and honored to be standing in front of you today as the seventh head coach in this storied program's history. As Mark said, we're living in unusual times, hence a press conference with no people. But I want to give you my heartfelt sentiments to all that have been directly affected in an adverse way during this troubling and confusing time. But I know this, I know that Birmingham is strong. I know the UAB community is strong. I know the state of Alabama is strong, and together, this too we shall overcome. When my time at Ole Miss ended in 2018 after a 12-year run in the SEC, my family could have moved anywhere, and we chose Birmingham. This has always been our home away from home. My wife Kimber and I are both proud UAB graduates. My daughters Megan and Caitlin were both born in Birmingham. Megan is actually finishing up her MBA at Sanford, and Caitlin is at our neighboring school down south as a sophomore at Auburn. This place has always been very special to us, and we're excited to be back. In 1977, when Gene Bartow left Westwood in Los Angeles at UCLA, the pinnacle of college basketball, to come to the South Side in Birmingham to start UAB athletics, he did so with a vision to create a nationally relevant basketball program. In year 3, 1981, led by two Birmingham natives, Coach Bartow led the Blazers to the Sweet 16. In '82, they doubled down and advanced all the way to the Elite 8, awakening the college basketball world that south side of Birmingham is serious about college basketball. It is now my charge, my mission, to bring us back to our rightful place on the college basketball landscape. And with you, your help, that will become our new reality. My first home game as a UAB Blazer was, ironically enough, the first game ever in this building, Bartow Arena, December 3rd, 1988. Coach Bartow and our Blazers were going against another legend, C.M. Newton and the Vanderbilt Commodores, in front of a sellout crowd. Well, that night, a skinny, spiked-haired, cocky, with a RoboCop-looking knee brace sophomore helped UAB to a 76-69 victory, creating a special memory in this program's history. It is now my charge, with your help, for us to create more special memories. With your help, we can fulfill Coach Bartow's vision for this program, because I know together we will win as one.
Good morning, everyone. I'm David Crane, the voice of the Blazers here at UAB, and happy to be joined by the new head coach. And I look forward to a handshake in a couple of weeks.
Are we not 6 feet apart? I think we're breaking policy.
We're
back
close.
up, back
We're
up, David.
The trophy is going to protect us a little bit. It's so great to have you here. You and I have met a couple of times. Coming back home for you, you never really left. When you came back from Ole Miss, you've been here sort of all along. Have you been able to follow UAB and keep track of things since your playing days? Obviously, you coached here as an assistant, but how closely have you followed UAB over the years?
Well, let's go back. When I was coming out of high school, I'm a Louisville, Mississippi native. Shout out to my mom and dad, Frank and Mary Kennedy. I know they're watching online, assuming their Wi-Fi holds up, and I know they would love to be here. They've been in this room many, many times. They've taken many a trip from Louisville, Mississippi to Birmingham to support me, and I wanted to tell them I love them and I appreciate them. I came here in 1988, left in 91, started my journey as a basketball player. When that journey ended, a lot quicker than I had anticipated based on some knee situations, I came back and worked for the second head coach in the history of this program, Murray Bartow. Had a great experience and will forever be grateful for Murray for giving me that opportunity. Left and went and worked for the legend, my mentor, Bob Huggins at Cincinnati. Had the opportunity to become the head coach there, and then that led me to 12 great years in Oxford, Mississippi, a place that will always be near and dear to my home. I will always be a rebel in a lot of senses. You'll learn that, David, as we get to know each other. But for me, I always followed the scores. But, you know, when you're a head coach in the SEC, you are consumed with your daily job. But like everybody, I would always see whether or not the Blazers won or lost. And it's always been a place that I felt very connected to. From Mike Anderson to Mike Davis to Jared Haas to Rob Eson, all of those guys led this program with such great honor. And as an alumnus and someone who has real sweat equity in this program, I was very proud of that. When this opportunity became available, it was something that was surreal to me. We're living in surreal times. I was in the SEC tournament working for ESPN and the SEC network when this came down. Okay, initially we're gonna play the games with no people, and then soon thereafter they said, hey, we're gonna shut this thing down. So I'm driving back from Nashville, and it felt surreal. Like, is this actually happened? And I think we're all kind of going through that right now. This is certainly not the introduction that we wanted, because I can't wait for this room to be filled and to see so many familiar faces and so many people that have supported this program from day one. They've made UAB what it was and what it is. And I look forward to that moment. But until then, I just appreciate the opportunity that I've been given. And I have always been a Blazer and will always be a Blazer.
Talk about the timing, and it's important in everything, coaching no different. What made this time right for you to come back to UAB?
You know, David, I believe this. A lot of times people say experience is the greatest teacher. I'm not one to completely believe that, because I think experience without reflection teaches you nothing. When you're a head basketball coach, it is a 24/7, 365 consuming job. There's not a lot of time penciled in for reflection. I had some forced reflection. These last 2 years out, doing the television stuff has really given me an incredible perspective of who I am and what I want to do moving forward. I'm in the best position that I've ever been to be the best head coach that I've ever been. And I'm looking forward to that opportunity to do so right here in the south side of Birmingham. The time was the time. You know, a lot of times man plans and God laughs, and I believe that. I'm not big into saying this is my destiny, but I know that the time came where the phone call happened, and this thing evolved into me sitting here today, again, as a very proud seventh head coach in the history of this program.
You mentioned your first game was the first game in this building. What are some of your other favorite playing memories from UAB?
You know, Gene Bartow, he recruited me out of high school. I went and played for the late, great Jim Valvano. I've really, really been fortunate, from Jim Valvano to Gene Bartow to Bob Huggins, 3 Hall of Famers that did things. If we were in this room, they would be in separate corners, because they are polar opposites in the way in which they conduct their business. But what they have in common is their success transcends mere wins and losses. These guys are program builders, and I've had the opportunity to learn from each and every one, and I hope to be able to take some of that in helping us get UAB back to its rightful place on the college basketball landscape. When I came to play for Coach, we had a typical, again, I said it, I had spiky hair. I told my mom and dad I should have been more aware. I wasn't very aware. I should have been more aware my dad was losing his hair. I said, man, I got an opportunity to be bald. Thank God, you know, I've got a great-looking head. So, but as I was going through as a kid, I tell my mom and dad, if I knew my hair was going to fall out, I would have brushed it every once in a while. You guys should have given me a heads up. Spiky-haired, young punk who thought he knew everything, and Coach Bartow, who wouldn't cuss, but you know what he'd call me? He'd say, Lord, Andy, you're a prima donna. That was about as bad as he got, and he was accurate. But I learned so much basketball from Coach. I then evolved into my position at Ole Miss. He was with the Memphis Grizzlies, worked for Mike Isley with Jerry West, Hubie Brown. You're talking about Hall of Famers. And I got an opportunity to really become close friends with Coach Bartow, and that is something I will cherish forever. This place has got a lot of special memories. I wish a lot of the Blazers, and I know they would be here under normal circumstances, from Steve Mitchell to Chris Giles to Oliver Robinson to the first Blazer, Darryl Braden, to guys that I played with who are still in the community, from Barry Bearden to Jack Kramer, who came in here with me, the late, great Alan Ogg, Larry Rembert. We could go on and on and on. I recruited Mo Finley, who hit the shot. I watched that yesterday. I was so busy I couldn't retweet. I'm learning this Twitter thing. Be patient. But I couldn't retweet, but I was so proud of that. So many memories, and I'm really, really looking forward to getting the strength of UAB basketball back and using that synergy to help us all.
Did Coach Bartow get you into coaching, or was it your knee?
My knee got me in. Let me tell you, Coach Bartow tried to dissuade me many, many times. I would come to him and say, Coach, I tore my left ACL. Shout out to Bill Garth and Drew Ferguson. Those guys put me back together quite literally on a number of occasions. I transferred from NC State to UAB. You had to sit out a year. I tore my ACL in the summer league, Birmingham Summer League. You remember those days? It was great. Robbie Robertson started this summer league, and it was a who's who of basketball. We would be playing in Belgium with Charles Barkley and Enos Watley and Buck Johnson. It was a who's who. And in that summer league, I landed awkwardly, Bill Battle Coliseum at Birmingham Southern, and I tore my left ACL. Well, back in those days, that was death to a player. If I'd have sat out another year, I would have lost eligibility. So we did a new procedure, and 3 months later, I was back playing. A little over 4 months later, it was the night that I just reflected upon, first night in the history of this building where we were able to beat Vanderbilt. And I scored 26 points, just for the record. But during those times, I was always having knee issues, and then I played professionally, and I would have a few here or there. Then I tore my right ACL playing abroad in Puerto Rico, of all places, another place that has a very close connection to Gene Bartow. He coached their national team one time. And when I tore my right ACL, I was done. I came back. I didn't know anything but basketball, so I tried to get into coaching, and Coach Bartow tried to dissuade me. And then finally, my stubbornness and my persistence beat him down. I got the opportunity to work for Ronnie Arrow at South Alabama. That was my first job, and Coach Bartow gave me some sage advice that I still say to this day. And he said, Andy, he said, coaching is a great business if it wasn't for those games. And he's exactly right. Those games put things in perspective.
What's your thoughts on Conference USA, the potential for this league, especially as a basketball league?
Well, I know a lot of coaches in the league. I've been doing this a long time. I've been a coach for 23 years, and I know a lot of coaches. Rick Stansberry at Western Kentucky. What great tradition. You know, Rick was at Mississippi State for many of the years that I was at Ole Miss. A lot of respect for what he's been able to accomplish. I remember going into E.A. Diddle as a player. We actually even played him. My A.D., Ross Bjork, came from Western Kentucky, and we ended up playing them during my time at Ole Miss. Great respect for that program. Jeff Jones, another pillar in coaching, was a great player at Virginia, was on the team that UAB beat to go to the Sweet 16, I believe, or maybe the Elite Eight. Maybe that was the Elite Eight team with Ralph Sampson, but Jeff Jones was a member of that team and has done wonderful things as a coach. I am getting my arms around understanding the league. Obviously, it'll be a work in progress transitioning, but I know a lot of the coaches. I have been there, done that at most every stop along the way, and I'm excited about the opportunities that the conference provides.
Last question that I have for you. We're going to take a few from the media. You've been around Birmingham. You've been in this state. You know how important football is. I know you know how important football is now at UAB. Have you had a chance to visit with Bill Clark, and how excited are you to be a part of what is now an amazing football tradition here on the South Side?
What Coach Clark has done is truly amazing, and I'm glad that over the past couple of seasons he is getting acknowledged on a national level. What he has done and his staff has been truly amazing. I actually have talked with Coach Clark. I'm looking forward to locking arms with him and helping moving this program forward. A lot of the coaches throughout this department have reached out, and I appreciate that, and I look forward to partnering with them so that we can all win as one. Coach Clark, believe it or not, when the program was coming back, in the 1 year he was back before they actually had a team, I had a young man on my team in basketball that I tried to help him get. He was recruited as a football guy. He played 4 years for me, and so we struck up a conversation many years ago. And I was trying to again think about my alma mater and help them as they restarted this. What a tremendous story that he and the program have done.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit. We did get some questions from our good friends in the media locally. First one, easy one. What's the potential of UAB basketball?
You know, I think the bar has been set. Now, granted, times have changed. We live in a different world. Hence us, sitting in this room, streaming Coach Bartow, can you imagine him in this setting? But I think that the potential is as great as the university. What's the potential of UAB? UAB is a world-class university. It is so amazing. When I finished here in 1991, it was truly a commuter school. When I have come back, and I live, a different part of town. I'm not down here very often. I had a pretty hectic schedule working for ESPN. But when I come down here and I see the growth of this university, it is truly amazing. It makes me proud. I think that the basketball program has that same potential to be the best that we're capable of being, and I look forward to us getting there.
You managed to answer question 1 and 2 together. That's well done. With the situation we're in now, 6 feet apart, you can't recruit right now.
This ain't 6 feet. This is about 4.5. This guy, if no player on my team is going to be able to sit between us.
How are you able to go about getting this started with the situation we're in?
We
right
are
now?
all trying to keep things in perspective. I'm excited about the opportunity, but we are in strange times. And this next season, as we all try to figure out what the next day holds, will be the most unusual in the history of intercollegiate athletics. I am not an excuse maker. We will not make excuses while I am your head basketball coach. We're going to figure this out as best we can and move it forward appropriately.
You've been calling games the last couple of years. I know you've been down to Auburn and seen that amazing environment. Students prominently featured as part of that environment. How do you manage to attract the UAB students and make Bartow a similar environment?
Well, we have got to get them to understand that we are simply ambassadors of the student body. The players that will be on my team are an extension of the student body. They are one of you, and there's got to be an ownership buy-in. That's what Bruce has done such an incredible job of. Nate Oates at Alabama, they've done such an incredible job of explaining ownership to their student body, and that's something that we'll work on as soon as we're allowed.
Have you been able to start working on your staff? And a direct question, will Murray Bartow have a potential spot?
I have started working on my staff. I think you're only as good as the people around you, and I have learned this over my years of doing this. Staff is the number one priority. Your staff, your players. I'm trying as we speak, again, under unusual circumstances, to get my arms around this as quickly as possible. Murray Bartow, the guy who gave me an opportunity to coach here, would be a tremendous asset to UAB basketball and to UAB athletics. And again, as we are trying to figure out what this looks like moving forward, he will certainly play in those plans.
You mentioned the SEC network, your broadcasting career the last 2 seasons. What did you learn about college basketball, viewing it from sort of that side of the court as opposed to the bench?
I think perspective is everything. And when you're coaching basketball, I watch a lot of film. I'm a basketball Jones. You think I'm going through serious withdrawals not having sports on television like a lot of Americans. And so when I watch the game, though, when I was a coach, I am looking at specific ways in which we can win. You're looking at it from a very critical lens in that, how do we guard this? How do we run that? Who are our matchups? When you look at it now the way I have the last 2 years, from the 30,000-foot view, you get a greater perspective. And I've had the opportunity. You've also got to understand this. People don't think about, when you're coaching, the only practices that you ever attend are the ones in which you're involved with. Now, as a broadcaster for the last 2 years, I have been in everybody's practice. I have seen how everybody does it. It reaffirms some of the things that we've always done, and it also gave me some incredible ideas that I'll implement immediately.
Roster management, have you started thinking about that? Have you been able to talk with the players? What's sort of the plan for that going forward?
As you know, David, under normal circumstances, the first thing that you would do after being announced as the coach is to meet with your team. That is not in the world we live today. So I've been trying to get on the phone, and I've talked to the majority of them. You're just trying to get them to understand. This is a trying time for them, and I get it. I have been through both sides of this. I was a transfer myself. I've been hired. I've been fired. I've been up. I've been down. I understand it. And so we're all going to have to be patient and really see, how this thing unfolds, not only as it relates to UAB basketball, but as it relates to our culture as a whole. And as a result, things are a little different. But we're working through it as best we can.
Recruiting. You're a Mississippi guy. You've been in Alabama and Birmingham a great deal of your life. What is the recruiting plan locally versus nationally?
Well, and most especially in this day and age, with what we're undergoing, it's going to come back to connections. It's going to come back to having trust and built relationships over time, and that's where we'll go initially. Again, typically I'd be on a plane and I'd be somewhere and not sitting here. I would be working and trying to find the next UAB Blazer, but we're in different times. So what we'll do is we'll lean heavily on the relationships that have been forged over the years and try to figure out a plan moving forward.
What kind of style can UAB fans expect to see out on the floor?
You know what everybody says, oh man, we're going to play fast and we're going to shoot a lot of balls and yada, yada, yada. I mean, that's what every coach says. The reality is this. The reality is I have a 13-year track record at Cincinnati and at Ole Miss. You can view how we played. We will recruit to a philosophy, but I am then, after evaluating, I am then going to try to play in a way that gives our kids the best chance to be successful. I've learned fans love you win or tie, and there's not a lot of ties in basketball. So we're going to put our kids in a position to be successful on and off the court. We're going to be about ultimate accountability. That's what I believe in. That's what I believe in my household, and that's what I believe in with this team. We're going to be held accountable. There's going to be a standard set by the guys on the team, and it's going to be my job to adhere to that standard. So I am really looking forward to getting to know these kids, getting to see, hey, what is in the best interest of us as it relates to style of play. We're going to recruit to a philosophy, and then we're going to try to put our guys in a position to play to their strengths.
Are you an analytics guy? That seems to be sort of a growing trend. Is that something you've been able to sort of watch and monitor the last couple of years doing games on television?
I believe what Bill Parcells says, you are what your numbers say you are. And I am an analytics guy, but I'm also old school. I'm going to coach from the gut and from the eye, and those will trump any analytics that I got. But I believe in a happy mixture.
Last question. It's your alma mater. Is this your destination job?
You know what? I know this. There is no such thing as tomorrow in this business. I realize that. I am going to stay in the moment. I read a book, Rick Pitino, and I'm happy to see Coach Pitino back at Iona, one of the greatest coaches in our game. Rick Pitino wrote a book, One Day Contract. That's how I live my life, one-day contract.
Any other questions from the media that we've gotten? All right. Well, Coach, welcome. Hopefully maybe we can do this again before the season starts and invite a lot of folks and enjoy it. If not, I know everyone is looking forward to seeing you back inside here at Bartow Arena. Welcome back to UAB.
Thank you very much. I can't wait to embrace Birmingham and the UAB community. Again, everybody stay safe. Take this serious. Let's get through this together. We shall win as one.
Absolutely. Head Coach Andy Kennedy, thank you all for being with us again. Stay safe, wash those hands, and we hope to see you very soon.